masses he inspired. His message resonated and set our souls ablaze and broke our chains with fiery passion. Freedom speaks through the raging fire. He stared in the face of oppression with no fear, so brave and defiant. He gave us our manhood and he taught us self-reliance. By any means necessary, the movement was ignited, martyred for a cause that our people are still fighting. Malcolm X, a streak of lightning. He broke through the darkness and challenged the black man to see beyond the horizon. Go out on your sword for your freedom if you're righteous. Thunderous roar of the lion. His words terrified his foes. Picture black folks united. The oppressed versus the tyrant. David versus Goliath. We will not remain silent in the face of injustice. Part 1 to be continued. Peace and salutations to all the noble travelers out there in this vast digital realm. If you haven't already, please drop a like and subscribe. Hit that like button and subscribe. Because without your support, we can't continue to push this truth. And to all my good people out there, may peace and unparalleled prosperity be bestowed upon you. I am the one and only King Neef, the impeccably dressed conqueror of the Eurocentric intellectual empire. And you are now tuning in to the #1 podcast for black culture. Today I have the distinct honor of introducing to you a brother who is very well known in my city, in other cities, and he's doing some really good work and has a really interesting story. His name is KG Wilson. Welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yes, and so I want to start from the beginning, but before we start, I want to read a quote that I heard you say on one of the many news segments that I watched before we did our interview. I tried to catch up and watch and read as much as I could about you. One of the things you said, you described yourself as a highly spiritual black man. You said drugs, gangs, violence. I've been through it all. Is that like an accurate depiction of you?
Oh yeah. I think you left out the conscious.
Conscious.
Yeah, highly spiritual black conscious, brother.
Black conscious, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Because the conscious is, I wouldn't be on this interview right now, or there would be no history of any good work, dedication, determination, and discipline from me at all. If it wasn't for me becoming conscious.
Right.
All the negative that we see and all the negative in my past came from being unconscious. And so that's why I have to let people know that that's what we have to do is become conscious.
Become conscious.
Become conscious. That's what happened if you started out in the beginning with a poem from, and you spoke about my mentor, one of my mentors who was Malcolm X.
Yes.
That Malcolm X started out unconscious.
Absolutely.
And when he became conscious, he is known worldwide as one of the greatest black men that ever lived.
It's amazing how his message is still leading us and resonating with us, because like you just mentioned, he was one of your mentors. He is my #1 mentor. He is probably the man who, if I was in the Autobahn ballroom that day, I've been dead too.
Right.
They would have had to kill me.
Right.
In order for them to get to that man.
Right.
But I want to get to your story first. One of the things that I learned in my studies is that credibility is very, very important. People always ask, like, okay, well, why should I listen to this person? Or who is this person? Okay. So let's start. You are from the south side of Chicago, correct?
Yeah, what they call Inglewood.
You're from Inglewood. Yeah, that's what's up. And so tell me about your upbringing. What are some of your early childhood memories?
So, like I've said before, I grew up in a foster home. And so my mom, after, hearing about her having some problems with addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, so which landed me as the baby child in the foster home. In the foster home, there was a lot of dislike and abuse, whether it was verbal or physical. And I endured that. As a young child, I actually was different from the other kids because I was a foster child, and there wasn't any other foster children around. At least I hadn't met any. So I had what was called the foster kid disease. And when you say disease, that means stay away from them or you gonna catch it. So as a child, that's what I went through. My foster mom was religious, and she took us to church. And so when I went to church, that was the first time that I actually had a goal as a child. I actually wanted to be a pastor. I wanted to do that. I would be a pastor and a gospel singer. And that was something different from other kids. And so I got beat up and bullied for that, you know. And so, like we just got talking about beforehand, my journey started out with having to deal with bullies. Bullies in the foster home, bullies when I started going to school, in the community. And so I didn't want to fight. We was taught not to fight. And so eventually I felt like this kid, this bully is bullying all the other kids, and they can't take the pain or the abuse that he's dishing out. And I can, because I'm already being abused and beaten and tortured in the foster home. So I can take it. So what I'm going to do is take all the beatings to protect the other kids who, like I said, and that goes along with what we talked about earlier, doing so much showing love to somebody who's not going to show love to you, regardless if you put your life on the line, regardless if you take abuse for them.
No doubt.
And so, eventually I stood up to this one bully, and that was a turning point in my life. Because once I stood up to this bully and fought this bully and I guess won this fight, never threw a punch, nothing like that, just put him in the headlock and held him and was hoping somebody here would come break it up, right? Because I was still scared. But after that was the turning point in my life. After that, I had to fight every bully that came along. And so from that point, I was seen as not a kid who wants to be a pastor or gospel singer, but a tough kid that can fight and is willing and ready to stand up to any bully, which kind of deterred me when I was talking about earlier about putting that barricade in front of a kid when he wants to do this, but now here's something right here that stops him.
So was this the 80s?
No, I was born in the 60s, so that was the 70s.
Was the 70s.
Yeah, that was the 70s. I was born in 66.
Right. So then, Chicago at that time, you know, Chicago's a very notorious city. It's the city of Al Capone. It's the city of Mary Hoover, of Jeff Ford, and it has all this history in it. So at what point did you, I'm not gonna say take a turn for the worse, but take a turn towards the streets? At what point in your life did that take place?
Well, what happened with me is my first experience with that is I had was in the foster home, and back in the days they said you can't run in and out the house.
Mm-hmm.
You go out there, you stay out there till it's time to come on. Before the street lights come on, you better be in this house, or within yelling distance.
Yeah.
Ain't no coming out looking for you. Foster mama open the door and yell your name. You better answer.
You better hear it and come on.
And so but mine was, I remember going in the house to get a basketball out the basement, and I went down in the basement, and one of my foster brothers was sleeping. I don't know what made me bounce the ball, and when I bounced the ball, he came out the room and just started drilling me, bust my nose, my lip, and I said, I'm running away. So I ran out of the house and started running down the street, and I'm bleeding and just running until I got tired. And stopped, and I looked up, and there was about 15 guys all dressed in blue. And they asked me what was going on with me, and I told them. I said, I live in this foster home, and one of the foster brothers beat me up, and this is what I've been going through. since I was a kid, a younger kid. And I said, but y'all look like a happy family, a family. And he said, yeah, we is, man. I said, so dang, can I be in y'all family? And the guy said, yeah, little man, you could be in my family. And he wiped me up, they cleaned me up. And I was so excited and happy about it that I ran back to the foster home and told them what I just did. And one of my foster brothers said, man, you big dummy, you know what you just did? And I said, what? You just joined one of the biggest gangs in Chicago. Yeah. And it's crazy because I wasn't trying to do that. I was just running to try to get some help.
Right.
And so what happened is, as a kid and somebody wanting to be there for me and help me, I embraced that. And I started to find out that I got somebody to help me now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's when that started right there. So joining it didn't make the memories go away. Right. Of all the abuse and stuff, because that was still there.
The trauma away.
It didn't. But I would notice I would see them drinking something. I noticed every time they would drink this stuff, now I know what it was, wine. They would drink this wine that they would act a certain way, like they had no problems, they would seem so happy.
Right.
And so that was my journey of trying to find out what was in that bottle. They wouldn't let me, right. So I had to find a way to find out what are they.
So you were pretty young, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I was like 12.
So you were 12
yeah.
When you first...
11 or 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12 when you first took that transition to the streets.
Yeah.
And, you were looking to fill a void.
Yeah.
The lack of family. And you seen that in those guys, in those brothers.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't ask these questions, for anybody who's watching this. I'm not glorifying the streets in any way, shape, or form. But my goal is to establish the credibility on why we should be listening to this brother. And I don't think y'all really truly understand who he is and what he's been through, and that's why I'm here to tell his story. So, if you may, tell me more about the group that you came in contact with.
So at that time, it was a group called the Black Disciples. It was the Disciples, which was... I'm thinking before we were doing the GDs, the Gangster Disciples. So just the disciples that I was a part of. And, it was a change in my life, man. It changed my life because I'm fighting now. Now I'm fighting not just the bully, because I was doing it for a reason then, but now I'm fighting because of colors now. And I always say, like we talk about the consciousness, I was unconscious, man, and all of us was unconscious because what happened was somebody, like Malcolm said, hoodwink, bamboozled, run amok our mindset. Well, we were so unconscious that he changed the color of our skin. So one gang was red and our gang was blue. So we wasn't fighting against black because we couldn't see black. We were blinded, colorblind. Now we're fighting against blue and red. And so now that's what became my my mission.
So this is late 70s.
Yeah, to fight against whoever got red on. Right. You can't come over here.
Right.
And we can't
which
go
would have
over
been
there.
The opposing group, which is like the Black Peace Stone Rangers.
Yeah, Vice Lords, stuff like that.
Like
Yeah. And so, yeah, man. And so it's something that, like you said, we have to talk about it, but we have to actually let people know the wrong about it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because what I've been done with years ago, somebody is joining and starting today.
Exactly.
And hopefully they get to hear what we're talking about today, because I'm going to give it to them in the raw.
Absolutely.
Like I don't care who knows, every gang chief or whatever it is, know who I am and know what I stand for, and I've been standing for this.
Absolutely.
Going on 21 years.
Yeah.
And my thing is to not recruit nobody or
Exactly.
tell nobody to join. My thing is to tell them not to do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just one of the people, if you probably seen this too, that I barely escaping. I barely escaped life in prison, death row, jails, institution, death. I barely escaped that, man. Dying from drug overdose or whatever, suicide. I've been through all of these things, man, that I barely escaped from, you know. And so I have to let people know who listen. Anytime I get a chance, like I need to speak to you, and I'm not gonna ask you if I have to beg of you, if I have to get down on my knees to beg of you, because my mission is before I leave here that I was one of the people who told you the truth,
Right.
who gave you the instructions, who warned you from experience. You know that it's a setup.
Absolutely.
It is a setup, man, and
Right.
even though Malcolm left here, he barely escaped to become who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So
And
let me ask you a question. So, how deep did you involve yourself with the Black Disciples?
oh man, I was deep.
Yeah.
It was dedicated. I was dedicated. You had to be.
Yeah.
You had to be dedicated, determined, and disciplined, man. You had to be. And so this might sound kind of harsh, but you know, whatever I had to do to be a part of that, I would have did.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, because that was the mindset I was in. I was unconscious.
You was unconscious. You didn't know nobody.
I was unconscious. I was on a mission to be destructive, to cause mass destruction.
Yeah.
You know, or they talked about years ago, Bush went over to Iraq to look for weapons of mass destruction. I was a weapon of mass destruction in Chicago. There was a whole bunch of them
Yeah.
back then, and there's a whole bunch dead now.
Absolutely.
You know, and so if you talked about some of the brothers that are incarcerated now, been incarcerated since the 70s.
Yeah.
Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford,
Exactly.
been locked up since the 70s. They're considered brothers who are weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And so what I've been hearing and stuff like that, that these brothers have become conscious where they are, which
Yeah.
you should. I think
Absolutely.
you should. And I think everybody should be given a chance,
Yeah.
you know, to be
A second chance.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because times have changed now. People are getting older and wiser, you know what I'm saying? And all we have.
What harm would it be to let these old men out?
Yeah, man, because like I said, wisdom is it. We need wisdom now, wisdom and knowledge. That's what continues to go on.
Exactly.
You follow me? That's why we're here.
Exactly.
From wisdom and knowledge. We had to receive that and understand it. Then there's understanding. We had to understand this. And so now this is why we are where we are right now.
You know, just off another topic, and we'll get right back to it, but because it's related to it, is that I had this idea that as part of reparations for Black Americans, I think we should open the discussion for allowing for them to open up them prisons and send brothers that choose to Africa. If y'all don't want to let them go, y'all don't want them in America, have a system where you can expatriate them back somewhere in Africa. Let them live free, considering that you took their ancestors from their homeland, you brought them here, you oppressed them, you criminalized them, you created these conditions that breed criminals, and then you turn around and punish these same people. And it's not saying that some people ain't, didn't play a part in it, but that's for a broader discussion. But
Yeah, and I can see it too, but I think for me, coming from actual Chicago, I think that those brothers should be back there.
Back home.
Yes, because that's where
Absolutely.
they're known at, and I think they're not the same. If you change, you're not the same. Malcolm X was not Malcolm Little anymore.
Exactly.
When he came back, matter of fact, he came out of prison and went right back to where he
To the
came
same
from
community.
as Malcolm X, not
Yeah.
as Malcolm
And
Little.
resurrected the morals
That's
of his
right.
people and taught his people self-reliance.
That's right. That's
And
right.
taught his people how to pick themselves up by their own
Exactly.
bootstraps. We need more men like that.
Exactly.
Who got the credibility.
So those brothers, I'm not disagreeing with
No.
the Africa. I think
Yeah.
they should be let to go there just to go get out and
Right.
go do something. But I think that they should be back in to that community because that's where their families are. But their families and and the people in the community and those who remember the past of them could get to see them
in the change.
In the change. You know, I have to say this, if you don't mind, but me personally, I liken myself to Paul, the Apostle Paul, in the scriptures.
Yeah.
I liken myself to him. Because if I never would have read about the Apostle Paul, I probably wouldn't have been able to know that I could change. I could do something. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That the Most High would be like lenient on me, you know what I'm saying? And when I read about him, you know, him first being Saul, when he came back, he was Paul.
Right.
And now he's a servant of the Most High, and he's let people know. Everybody knew him as the most notorious killer of all time.
No doubt.
But now, a lot of people don't know, and it's probably gonna blow their mind now when I say this, is that the Apostle Paul just about wrote the whole New Testament.
Exactly. So.
You feel me? So yeah, man. So this is who was chosen to do this.
Yeah.
So that takes us back to what you were saying. Those brothers like them, if they could be transformed by the renewing of their minds, man, and come back out here different. Now, they might not be connected to those that still acting a fool or some of the old gang that they helped build. Hey, those people are going to have to be on their own and do something else with other bogus leadership.
Yeah.
But these guys right here are going to come out, man, and be our elders in the community who have been transformed by the renewing of their mind. And they done been in prison, you know what I'm saying, a long time. But what I found out, dear brother, is I can remember being in jail. And I thought that freedom was being out here and not, but I had to go to jail to get free. Because I found out when I was in jail that freedom is in the mind.
So you did some time.
A little, yeah, spaces.
Right.
I was one of those people
back in Illinois.
Yeah, so I always was one of those people who I could watch and see what people do. I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna find another way to do something because I don't want to be locked up. I just like that. And so, but the little pieces time that I did, I was able to think.
Right.
And then I was able to meet brothers in there who got time, or you know what I'm saying, and how they were telling me that if they had another chance, man, this is what they would do.
So back in your time, the streets had a lot of structure in Chicago.
Oh man, yeah,
a lot of structure. So what I'm interested in your journey is how would you have described yourself? Were you more of a hustler? Were you more of just like the thug, the jacker? Like who were you in the streets?
So back in those days, Tina, we wasn't hustling nothing. We was gang banging, man. It was about turf, making sure we keep our turf. You know what I mean? We was fighting. We fought then. This was before people started shooting. You know, we fought. You lost, you lost. You fought, you got jumped, you got jumped. I was one of those kids that I've been this size since I was 14. So I was a big little kid, but I was big. And so I would have to get jumped. Whole families would jump me.
Right.
And so we fought back then. So no, I can't never say I was no hustler or nothing like that because we wasn't doing that back then. Right. We was fighting and gang banging, man.
Right.
So I'm not gonna sit up here and say that no.
Right.
I wish that would have went that way, but it didn't go that way.
You had old heads you had to answer to back then.
Oh, definitely, man, definitely. You know, you just couldn't just go do anything you wanted to do or say what you wanted to say. You know, they respected and liked it that they had some little thoroughbred guys, you know what I'm saying, that could use their hands and that was willing to stand up on their own. And I was one of them that was willing to stand by myself. So if I done been with 5 or 6 guys and a group of another gang came and they took off and ran, I stayed there and fought, got jumped.
So what is one of the worst experiences that you had in the streets that kind of really affected you?
Man, just people I'm with, man, and they end up getting shot and killed. That type of stuff like that, man. Especially if it was something that I started the fight, because I was always the one to kick something off. I was so into the gang thing, man, that I'm gonna say something first, and then it never turned out. I guess the Most High just always seemed to have a covering over me because I had lost myself, you know, and that wasn't what I wanted to do, but I'm caught up in it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I got to prove myself here and continue to be this way because once you start, you in it now. People know you for that. And so, you know, as unconscious as I was, I continued to be unconscious. I could have lost my life. But like I said, the Most High must have had some type of favor on me, or I keep saying, at 14, the Most High already knew that in 2024, August the 4th, I would be here with you.
No doubt about it.
So I had to survive. The bullets had to miss me.
Exactly.
The gang fights, the drugs, the overdose, the suicide attempts, everything that I went through, the beatings in the false on the tour, everything. I had to go through that to be here today.
It all led up to
that goes to what you was talking about. Why are we listening? Why do we listen?
Why are we listening to you? Exactly. And that's what I'm interested in establishing early on. So how long did you really, how long was your tenure in the streets?
Man, all of my childhood, man, teen years, you know. And then, once I started to drinking and drugging, that kept me out there. So I would do that on and off. I try to go back to what I wanted to do. I would try to go back to the church because I knew that this gonna end wrong here. But I always had to stand up to the bully. Yeah. That continued to bring me. I would go to the church and something would happen out here that I would have to stand up to the bully. Whether it's for my family or just because I'm willing to do that. Right. And so that would take me back and forth. So I would go back and forth from the church to the streets.
Right.
Yeah, all the way up through my 20s, man. So we had a thing that once you turn 35, you could be done.
You could be retired.
Yeah, you could be retired. You heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people just continue to go on because they're connected. They want to continue to have that connection. And if they quit, then the people are going to disconnect themselves from them. So I was one of those people, man, who I wanted to disconnect anyway. Right. The whole knowledge, and like I said, now I'm starting to listen to Marcus Garvey and W.E. Du Bois, you know what I'm saying, and Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, I'm starting to listen to these people and I'm like, oh man, are you serious? And then in Chicago, I'm seeing brothers who used to be out there in the street, gang. Now when I see them, they with the minister. Yeah. They suited up with the bow tie, and they're totally different cats.
Yeah.
Because they've been transformed by the renewing of their minds now. Now they conscious.
Absolutely. And
they have a whole different thing. They ain't saying no gang stuff, no drugs. Man, they're eating right. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I'm like, wow.
So a light bulb went off in your head.
It went off in my head, man.
How old were you when that took place? Would you say? And what sparked it? Like what sparked that idea? Because it seems like you always had this foundation.
I did in the beginning.
From your youth, you had this goodness in you, but you were being pulled. You were being pulled in these directions because of your environment, because of the trauma you went through.
Yeah.
And just running away from the trauma, but then at the same time looking for that family and being embraced by the streets, by the street organization, coming up in it.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact age, but I do remember that when it really hit me was right after 9/11. Okay. And I was sitting in a room, I can't remember exactly where I was at, and then Minister Farrakhan came on speaking. And I couldn't move. Had drugs on the table, alcohol on the table, and I didn't touch it because I couldn't move. I'm just listening to Minister Farrakhan on the TV, and I got tears coming out my eyes. It was like he was talking straight to me, and I was just like, wow, man, how did I get so unconscious? How did I go into this deep sleep and I'm about to put something in me that's going to take me until my last sleep.
Yeah.
But I couldn't realize that until this brother was feeding my intellect. He's giving me this information and this knowledge and wisdom, understanding that, man, it's time to wake up, brother. You unconscious. You gonna die this way, and your story is gonna be exactly what you doing.
Exactly.
Here is a drug addict and an alcoholic who died this way. That was it.
That was it. And
that was it.
You didn't want it to be that.
I didn't want it to be that, and so I started to thinking, how do I change this? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I started doing. It wasn't feeling the same no more. I didn't want to do that no more. Right. And so I started trying to figure out, how do I go about that? It wasn't easy for me because I still just wasn't all the way there, but it gave me a different mindset about what I'm doing. Now I could see what I'm doing is wrong, because I couldn't see that was wrong. I thought I was just self-medicating myself.
Did you feel like you needed to escape your environment, like Chicago?
I did say that, and that's how I ended up coming here. I said that. I remember when I said that I was going to be leaving, and I remember somebody saying, you could just change addresses. Like, some people come here, I heard that people come here and end up in prison when they get here, end up dead. Yeah. So they didn't change themselves, they just changed addresses. Exactly. They changed cities.
Because you come here and you got the same thing going on.
Yeah, you come here and do the same thing in a different place.
Exactly.
With the same mindset. And so then you get what you have coming to you.
No doubt.
And so
you weren't just looking to change addresses, you wanted a complete total change of mindset and a change of results.
Exactly.
So you left, or you made that migration from Chicago, and you were searching for like a better way.
Oh yeah.
And you just knew you had to. The first thing was like, okay, let me shake my environment.
Yeah.
Let me move around.
Yeah, and so when I got here, which was around in 2000, I can remember we all came up here on the bus, a Greyhound bus, and they would drop you off at St. Paul. And it's really something, because as soon as I got off the bus, a guy walked up to me. He didn't say, "Hey man, how you doing? Welcome to Minnesota." The guy walked up to me and he said, "Where you from?" I said, "Chicago." "Why? What's going on?" He said, "I knew it. Y'all the problem here. Y'all came up here and messed Minnesota up." I don't know nothing. I just got here. Just got off the bus. Yeah. So I said to this brother, because my mindset was, me and the Most High gonna prove you wrong about me. I don't know about them. I said, me and the Most High are gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna be one of Minnesota's top solutions. I always said, man, to this day, I wish I could see this guy again and thank him, because I think that was the kick that pushed me to want to prove him wrong. Because now he done told me how they're thinking here. You know what that's
called? That's called being self-aware.
Man, listen.
Because sometimes, you can be tone deaf to where you don't really recognize how other people view you.
Exactly.
And that's one of the most powerful tools of self-development, is being self-aware.
Yeah.
You have to be able to see how other people view you.
Man, listen.
So you come here, you're aware now that you wear that badge, and being from Chicago, being from the streets, and how others view you. Yeah. And you didn't want that to be it.
No, I didn't. And so, like I said, I wish if I ever run into that brother and I got a few dollars on me, I'm taking him to dinner. Yeah. And I want to show him the boxes full of awards that I have.
Absolutely.
You follow me? Look, brother, you remember you said this to me, and I told you, I didn't say I was going to do it by myself. I said me and the Most High, because I can't do it by myself. I wouldn't have been able to do nothing that you have seen or that's documented me doing in the last 21, going on 21 years. I wouldn't have been able to do it without the Most High.
So how did you transition into being, an activist?
So what I did was, back in 91, I had started doing street ministry in Chicago. So I would go out into the community, pray for people, try to get people into treatments, help them get out, gangs, stuff like that. Try to just help people get kids back into school. But I was hitting the streets hard. Mm-hmm. And so then when I got here, I thought about, maybe I should do this again, start back up what I called Hope Ministries. Mm-hmm. And so I called it Hope Ministries because A lot of people are not in the religion. A lot of people are not going to be in the church. And there's so many different types of religions. So and then none of them get along. Exactly. Everybody want to be right. So I said, I'm going to do something that's international. Hope. What everybody needs is hope. Because if people are in a hopeless state of mindset or living in a hopeless way, then they need hope. So what I'm going to do is start something called Hope Ministries, and I'm going to bring to the streets, the communities where they are, right where they are, a message of hope and healing to them, man, through my own testimony and my own story. Your own personal experience. And what I needed, I said I need a bullhorn. Right. I couldn't get nobody to get me a bullhorn for nothing, man. And when I finally got one, brother, the rest is history. Because when I got that bullhorn,
so you would hit the streets with the bullhorn.
Man, brother. Hard. I don't think they never seen nothing like it before. So I would go wherever the gangs, wherever there was prostitution, wherever there was drugs, wherever that was going on there, that's where I was. I set up shop there. Right. So with that message to them, man, and that's how it started. And so the compassion of that continued to go on for so long that I just became a community person in the community. So I'm starting to know people, and people are starting to know me, and now they're depending on me. And I just, from that point, man, I became a peace activist.
So in 2007, something pivotal took place in your life. And you were actually, as you were telling me, you were on your way back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And then an event took place.
Yeah, in 2007, I was about to move back to Chicago, and a friend of mine's 14-year-old daughter, whose birthday was yesterday, was shot in the head and killed. She was in front of a house where they were having a party at, and she was calling for a ride home. And gangbangers came by and started shooting at each other. She got caught in the crossfire, shot in the head and killed instantly, right in front of the house where the party was. At the time, like I was doing a lot of memorials and vigils for people's families, and it was my daughter who said to me, Dad, are we gonna do a vigil for her? Because we saw it on the news that he had lost his daughter. And what's crazy about it is I was about to leave my daughter to move to Chicago. And so when that happened, I did go do the vigil, and my daughter always was with me. And so I told my daughter I wasn't leaving, I was going to stay here with her, because it touched me that this man would never see his daughter again. And here I am about to leave her because me and her, I'm not trying to be with her mom. Well, we're not getting along. And so, which is a story of a lot of us, men in the past. And so, yeah, so I reached out to him. I did a documentary about it, and I gave him the DVD. And one day he called me to his house. And I came over to his house, and nothing in her bedroom had been moved. I sat on her bed, he sat on the other bed, and he said to me, he said, brother, he said, I've been watching you. I heard about when your son got shot in Chicago, what you did and what you didn't do. What you wanted to do, but you didn't do that. You went back to Chicago, not as an ex-gang chief, but as a national peace activist, which we was talking about earlier, about the change of people. And so, so he asked me to be the spokesman for a foundation. And I told him, I'm not going to be here. I'm moving. And so something happened that I changed my mind. And so I called her back up and said, yeah, brother, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do that. And I want to thank you, because I'm sorry for your loss, but you lost a daughter and I'm keeping a daughter. So now I can stay here and raise my daughter. So I became the spokesman for the Sherez Jones Foundation in 2007. And we teamed up as a team. I was doing Hope Ministry, so it was Hope Ministries and Sherez Jones Foundation. So me and her father, so it was two fathers, you know what I mean, who came together to, who had children who have been shot, came together to try to help save the lives of some other kids. And so, like I said, I've been here ever since. So if it sadly that happened, but if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all right now. And like I said, I just left the cemetery before I came here. I just left the cemetery because yesterday was her birthday, so I went to get flowers to put on her grave. So I left her grave and came right here to do this interview. And it's something because that happened for this to happen.
So that set you on a different path.
It did.
Right. You already, in the streets with Hope Ministries. You were, working with the people who were, the downtrodden, as they say. But this now, the violence, it kept you here. I'm in that tragic situation. So years go by, and this is what you're doing. Is you're working with families that have been affected by gang violence, homicides, things like that, and you become somewhat of a spokesperson for these people. And you're also out in the streets calling for an end to the violence. Did you feel like your message was getting across?
I do feel like it was getting across, but like I had to continue to tell you that I saw that the community was being bullied, whether it's by the gangs, drug dealers, whatever. They're terrorizing the community because they had to do that to keep people afraid, because as long as they're afraid, they can continue to do it. Absolutely. And so I was one of those people who, like I said, as a child, stood as a grown man and said, listen, leave him alone.
Never liked the
leave him alone, man. Stop this. If your kid want to get out of the gang, call me. I'll go and talk to the gang people, let them know I'm going to be his mentor. He's going to school, he's going to work or whatever. I wanted to be that person. If something happened in the community, to give you an example, I lived in South Minneapolis, actually, where 38th in Chicago. I'm getting calls to come over to North Minneapolis. I go over to North Minneapolis where there was a shooting at. I pull up my car on the block. There's nobody. You can see people peeking a little bit out of the window. Nobody. I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm going to knock on doors on the whole block. I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, do you have a husband? A brother, uncle? Is there any men in the house? Is there any men live on this block? Why aren't the men out here on the block doing something about what's going on in this community? So what I would do is I would set up my car, I would let the people know, I go door to door and say, I'm going to stay out here for a couple hours. I want you seniors who have retired from your job to come out here, water your grass, sit on your porch, whatever. Bring the kids out, let them play. I'll go get some candy. I'm going to be playing my gospel music for a few hours. But do not let these people make you hostages in your own community. And so that was one of the things, man, that bothered me a lot, man, that I had to do that by myself. And I didn't even live there. I lived on the south side of town. I'm over here on the north side of town, blocking off the street, traffic where nobody could come through, just so these people could live their life. Exactly. You follow me? And not be in fear, because they were terrified, especially when a child gets shot. Mm-hmm. When somebody shoots a child, I had to say, terrorists' number one way to terrorize people. They're terrified when that happens.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So as we were talking briefly off camera about how when in the black community, when it's one of our own doing it, people kind of like just, nobody
easy to point to the other man, but never the brother man.
And so when and I watched a news segment of you after the George Floyd riots, or in the wake of the Minneapolis uprisings, you were out there when all the stores were burnt down. It wasn't anything open. Nobody could get food, anything. You were out there helping the people, giving away food, things like that. How did that come about?
Well, I got to add this also, because I was angry. I was angry because I do believe, I'm answer that. I just got to throw this in there so people can understand my anger. So, for years, I found out that to make a community work, you have to have police and community relations. You have to have that. It's done in many communities. Minnetonka, Edina, all those places, they got that. You don't hear about what goes on there, here. You follow me? So at that time when that happened, I felt like I was to the place where I was just starting to make that happen. And then that happened. And so when it did happen, I was really upset because something happened on 38th in Chicago and nothing was touched there. Nobody looted, nobody burned anything down. It happened right there. Nothing.
Speaking
they went
George
to other
Floyd, because people that are watching this, they may not.
Yeah.
They don't know the street.
I'm finna lay it out to you. Yeah.
This is where George Floyd, just to be clear.
Where this happened, yeah. Where he lost his life there.
Exactly.
So listen, 38th in Chicago. So nothing was touched. In that whole area, nothing was touched, brother. This is where it happened. And nothing burned down, nothing broke into, nothing happened. The people went and tore up other places, other of the city that had nothing to do with it at all. Then they made the seniors suffer. Now they can't get their medicine. Some died. They couldn't. There was no way to get groceries. People couldn't have no food. We had to feed them for weeks. You follow what I'm saying? It was just a horrible thing. I've had meals in my car, hot meals in my car to take to seniors at their house. I drove to each one's house for weeks, bringing them food. You know, if they needed me to go to the store, go to the store. Not only at the glass and the how they tore up everything, I had to clean that up with shovels and brooms. You know, so for me, it was a personal anger that I put in all this work for all these years to help rebuild the community, and it got tore down in one day. One day. And something that happened on one corner spread all through the city, but nothing happened on that corner. They did nothing on there.
Yeah.
Over there, they did it. Everybody else had to suffer for something that happened on that corner.
Right.
And so my thing was
that was the tipping point in the black community, and one of the things that changed, I believe, is that we all seen the cop his foot or his knee on George Floyd's neck, and I think people connected with it because he was crying out for his mom and saying he can't breathe. And when people seen it, I know when I seen it, it was immediately it sparked something inside of me, like, man, what's, you know?
Well, I can say this to you, and you'll probably only hear this. I'm known for somebody who's black is the only one will say what you hear me say. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is we're afraid as a people to be left alone. Because we like to be with everybody else. You know what I mean? And like I've always told people, we only talk about, like you said, what we see right there. We only talk about what happens in the end. But what people don't understand is that is the end, but it started over there. So when you see something right here that happens on the end, and everybody watches this, even children, they're showing on the news for weeks that this happened right here in the end. But what's crazy, what nobody talks about is, how did it get right there? It started over there. And if nobody knows how it happened right there, guess what's going to happen? It can happen to them too. Mm-hmm. See, they're not talking about that it started over here. This was just the end. And a lot of times that's what happens, not just to George Floyd, but a lot of people, their end is right here, but nobody tells how they got there. How did that happen? What happened that happened? And if we don't know that, the same thing is going to happen to somebody else. Me personally, I would have to say, I done lost count. I can count at least 15 times I had a knee on my neck. I've been sprayed with mace, beaten down, fighting the police over the years, man. You know what I mean? But it was a different situation. You know, that also had to do with the intoxication of drugs also. Because now you can't fight off or sit and withstand or whatever. But anyway, I always said also too that was my store. That's where I did all my stuff at, is that the store on 38, because I lived right there.
Okay.
And so I always said that what I was mad about is that I wish that I could have came there at that time. They're not showing you too much about what happened in the store that created that situation. I knew him personally.
Yeah.
And so if I would have walked in the store at that time, I would have been able to deal with that.
Exactly.
Even by me having my connection with chief of police and being who I am in the community, if I could have came up at that time, even when they had him trying to get him in the car, I would have been somebody who would have been able to say, George, stop doing that. Hey, man, just get in the car, whatever. And the police would also know who I am because I got the chief on speed dial. We best friends.
Yeah.
So I'm somebody who would have, but it just didn't happen that way. I hate that I wasn't able to be there that day. I hate that because I'm one of the people, I done been through drug addiction. I've been, January make 21 years, clean from alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, all that. So I saw and knowed him from that he was continue to get clean, go back, get clean, go back, get clean. So he was, this time, I saw him, this was a bad time for him. And I will say this, regardless to what anybody thinks, and I'm saying this from my own experience, if that wouldn't have happened that day, he probably would have passed from a drug overdose. Because he was intensely using the drugs, and it was to that place when that time where, you know, it's just more drugs.
You actually knew George Floyd.
Yeah. And so I knew the addiction. I came from that. Yeah. You know, I barely escaped it. That's why I keep telling this. This is what people got to understand. Not too many people will say this, and when you don't say stuff, we are having people, listen to me, man. We're having people continuing to die from drug overdose. The police don't have to put their knee on your neck when you have drugs. People are killing themselves, and drug abuse and overdose, that's a form of suicide, man.
Absolutely.
You follow me? But nobody wants to talk about it. They ain't gonna talk about it at the funeral. They ain't saying nothing about it on Facebook. So all they know is the person died. Why did they die? Kids are like, oh, how did Uncle so-and-so die? Nobody wants to tell them. So if they don't know how he died, what you think gonna happen? Exactly. The same thing can happen to them. Nobody wants to talk about this no more, man.
You can't learn from it.
But if somebody else do something, then they want to tell everybody. They want to talk about it. Oh, the police did this. Right. If the kid died from a drug overdose or the gang shot him, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's protesting, rallying, nothing. You ain't gonna hear nothing.
Exactly.
But if the police do something, you'll see them all on the news. Oh, my son, they did this. You know what I mean?
You feel like it's hypocritical.
I mean, I don't want to say that word, but it's just the mindset, man, of us. Like Malcolm said, we so desensitized by the blame game.
Exactly.
It's cool because then, like I said, the bullies, they're afraid of the bullies. Somebody shoot your son, you're afraid of the people who did it. They're afraid of the people who did it. My son is dead, but if the police do it, they can say, oh, the police did it. They're not afraid of that. Because now they got a whole bunch of other people, mostly criminals, because mostly criminals don't like the police because the police won't let them do their criminal activity. And I'm saying this from being an ex-criminal.
Yeah.
I said this and I'm going to say it again. I'm glad we're doing this because I said this. If I today, in this time and day, especially since George Floyd, if I lived somewhere like New York, California, Chicago, wherever, Detroit, wherever, I would move to Minnesota. I would move to Minnesota because this is the place to come where people ain't gonna say nothing. They ain't gonna call the police. You can set up shop and do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a no snitch state. They ain't gonna tell on you or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Especially since George Floyd, things are worse than they ever been, man.
Yeah.
After that, the part you didn't see or hear about is, they broke into drugstores.
Yeah.
And so you had 14 and 15-year-old kids riding around on a bike. I seen them with bags full of pills they got out of the drugstores, man.
Yeah, they hit all the drugstores.
You follow me?
They hit the drugstores, jewelry stores.
Exactly. And so now the outcome of that is if you go through the bridge on Franklin in Bloomington, if you go up under there, man, I'm willing to take you in my car and let you go see a nightmare for real.
Yeah.
That nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
Right now, if we go over there after we leave here, if you've seen this is the aftermath of the drugs that were passed out in the community.
You're right, because before,
yeah, you didn't see none of that.
What?
You didn't see none of that.
You bring up a good
I'm
point.
trying to tell you.
Before
I just went
George
through
Floyd
that
situation. It wasn't a lot.
You
of
didn't see none of that.
It was only a few little small ones, but now it's like they're everywhere.
Because these are active drug addicts. I'm trying to speak from experience. So when I was on active drug addict and abuse, I slept on a park bench. I lived as a homeless man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live in no house. I didn't want to live nowhere because I was homeless in my mind. And so I wanted to die using drugs or alcohol, because this was my way of poisoning myself. I know it's poison now, and getting out of here. I was too much of a coward to take a gun and blow myself away. So what I would do was continue to just use drugs and get high until I go. But it just was the most high that wasn't my story. Exactly. My story was to be able to go through that, come through it, and be able to tell the truth regardless to what nobody says. Exactly. The life-saving truth. And that's what we're not getting anymore. Everybody is so soft to not say this. You can't say this. You can't say it. I'm going to say it. Like it's today. Whatever you got, come with gun blazers, whatever, because now it can be recorded. So now if I leave here today, this is my last interview, people will be able to play this over and over again long after we're gone.
Absolutely.
You understand me? Like that brother said this. To share with you this, I'm living today off of people's messages that was recordings that's not here no more. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, W. Du Bois, all of these people from back in the days are dead and gone. They said things out of their mouths that made them lose their lives, but they left a truth here and some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to bring us to a consciousness level that today we can survive off of. And not only that, we can teach and share. We can take one of Malcolm X recordings and play in a classroom full of young brothers.
I swear I was just at my mom's house a couple of days ago and I was telling my nephew about the autobiography of Malcolm X. And as I'm going through my story, he said, hold up. He said, this is in the book? And my nephew's 11 years old. He said, yeah, well, then don't tell me no more. Because I want to read it myself.
He'll read that.
He's 11 years old.
And you know, it will keep his interest because of like I said, a lot of people
that's true.
don't even know, man, a lot of things about that brother. Man. And so, like I said, I liken myself to him because, like I said, when I've been through the drugs.
Because he went to foster
and all that stuff.
He went through drug use, drug abuse, prison, the streets, all of that. And then he was reformed and he become this giant of a man.
Exactly. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not talking religiously or nothing like that, but I'm talking and speaking. He's speaking through me.
Exactly.
He gave me something to give to the masses. So the social media, which I thank you guys for this platform, is going out into the masses.
Me too.
And there's people, I have people call me, man, and send me stuff, man, from all over the world, bro, from totally different gangs.
Right.
Thank you, brother KG. I follow you on Facebook, man. Listen, I'm married now. I'm working. I got out of the gang. Yeah. I ain't never met him in my life.
And to your point, people, you know, whenever like I bring up anything like political and stuff like that, you know, the black community, they have their own way of thinking.
Right.
And I have to explain to them, like, listen, man, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican.
Right.
I'm an Xist. They say, what? I say, yeah, Xism. It could be described as a post-Mecca Malcolm X political and economic theory.
See, that's deep form.
It's deep form.
Yeah.
And if you go back and listen to his plan for black people, politics and economics, you don't see that playing out today.
No. You
see a bunch of sellouts on either side that know nothing about Malcolm, but we hold his name up. But if we was practicing a Malcolm X style of politics and economics, we wouldn't need anybody because his message was a message of being self-sufficient, independent. He believed that within the black community, black people should own the stores. We should own the hair salons. We should own all those corner stores. Yeah. The economics of your community you don't control.
Exactly.
If you know, like all these contracts, whether it be landscaping, whether it be cleaning out these buildings and things like that, construction, stuff like that. Who's getting these contracts?
Right.
They're coming in the black community, getting paid $60,000, $50,000 contracts, and people just standing around, just going about their day, and it ain't even bothering them. And for me, it bothers me. I'm like, I know that money belongs to our community, and as Malcolm X described it, is they take their basket of money that they made at the end of the night, and they bring it out the community, which is keeping the community poor and keeping the community down.
I will agree with that. I said that some years ago, and there's probably a news story that you could pull up. There's so many of them, bro.
Yeah.
That where they were interviewing me and they were saying, KG, what do you think? What would you do if you could had, a way to bring some change in the community? I said, well, first I got to think about economics.
Yeah.
And so what I said is, I see people continue to say, oh, we're going to build housing here. You're building housing for poor people. Just keeping in poverty, just giving them a place to stay, but you're not changing the mindset. I said, and so what I would do is I would build factories in North Minneapolis in different areas where people wouldn't have to worry about public transportation. They could just walk right to their job, but they would have a wage where they would be able to pay house notes, where they could buy a house. They could start learning how to build wealth in their community, and they could be responsible. Jobs, rebuilding the community. One thing about black people, if they put their sweat, blood, and stuff on building something, they ain't about to let you and nobody else tear it up. You follow me?
Yeah.
So I said, that's what I would do. I said, other than that, man, all you're doing is just housing somebody that is still homeless in the mind.
Has a poverty mindset.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
You can put a homeless man in a house, but you haven't changed the homeless state in his mindset. And he will still live like a homeless man in a house.
Right. Now, from every, before we sat down, like I said, for the last couple of days, I've been reading every news article I could about you. I've been watching every news segment about you. And today, where we are today, this KG Wilson that I'm sitting in front of is a different man because of a tragedy that struck so close to home to you with your granddaughter, Anaya Allen, who was tragically struck by gunfire in North Minneapolis, and she succumbed to her injuries. And out of all the fighting you did for the people and for the community and being an activist for families of violence, it's crazy that it just came to your doorstep like that with your own granddaughter. And this is what I want to talk about. I know it's tough. I can't. You can take your time because, man, I know it's tough, man. That's your granddaughter, and I'm a father myself. I'm so close to my child that I can't even imagine what you're going through today, man.
I was out. My phone was dead. So I left my phone in the truck on the charger. I got back to my truck and I hit my button on my phone, and there was hundreds of missed calls and texts. 911. I saw my daughters who stood out the most dead. Where you at, Daddy? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? And then they came to another one that said, Daddy, they shot Anaya in the head. And you know how you text and you could say something differently than what That's what I wanted it to be. Like, okay, she texting too fast or whatever.
Gotta
You
be
know, there's no way that a 6-year-old child, little girl, sweet little girl, was an angel. There's no way that this is real. But I see all of these missed calls from community leaders, police, everywhere. People on my thing, and I can't get them all, but I'm just sticking with my daughter. And so finally I call, and she's like, we're at the hospital. Daddy, get here. What the hell? There's no way that this could have happened. I mean, maybe she got grazed or whatever. No, there's no way this could have happened, man. And I get in my truck. I'm surprised I didn't kill nobody because I did not stop at a light. I just got to that hospital and I could see my family. And it was a reality that this really happened. And so at that time, I couldn't show no emotion. I had to be strong for them to keep everybody, because now people are angry, and it's just, and I'm angry too, and but I don't know what's going on yet. I just know she's in the hospital and they're saying it's bad. And you know, mind you, if I can back up, I had just did a live video and said a prayer for the other little girl who was shot.
Yeah, because there was like 3 or 4 kids.
Yes, I said it for those two. It was one little boy. Yeah. His name is Davion Jr.
Davion.
He was 10. Yeah. He was 10 at that time.
Yeah.
And then it was the other little girl who was 9. Yeah. And then my granddaughter who was 6. Yeah. And so I had just said a prayer that none of our kids get shot. Nobody's kids get shot, man. And they shot my baby, man. And I'm telling you, at that time, I couldn't think straight. All I know is I want to get this person. Yeah. My phone, I couldn't answer it. I just say, find out who did this now, man, now. Because I'm about to lose it. Now, because my family is looking at me like, gotta do something. And I'm just like, damn, man, this can't, I'm dreaming. You ever been in something with a situation where you want it to be a dream? There's gotta be a dream. It can't be real, but I was woke. And people are coming and calling me, and they strapping up. They ready to go to war. They ready to tear that whole corner up, man. And it's something that, as angry as I was, I couldn't make the call or allow them to do what they did, because I realized that was the way and the reason that my granddaughter was shot.
Yeah, because your people was ready to retaliate.
Oh yeah. But then, like I said, it started, the whole thing started, 2 girls was fighting and one girl called for some people to come help. And then the shootout took place.
So you still had enough.
I had
enough good sense.
I did, for kids.
To not perpetuate the same
For kids. I didn't want nothing to happen to another kid. I didn't care if it was their family. I say that to this day. As angry as I am, I could not give a damn unless I have it built up a hatred in me, and I'm publicly saying this, for this person that did this, and those who know. But I would not wish anything on their children. I would love their children just as it was one of mine. I don't want another child to lose their life because they took my child's life.
And just for reference, with people that don't understand, this was the 3rd kid that was hit with a bullet.
So one survived.
Couple
it was back to back.
Back to back.
And they always struck in the head.
It just kept happening.
They always struck in the head, man.
And it was the kids that was getting hit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And so you can't tell me in that little area now, and I've been doing this for years. I go from tears, emotion, like I haven't been in this place in a while, where I'm sitting here and how you build up to it, and I saw the whole thing. Like I told the news, and it probably was graphic to them, that what y'all see, I don't see. I see something else. What I see in my vision of my granddaughter is her being in that back seat with her Happy Meal because she loved McDonald's. And I know that her knowing who her granddaddy is because we sit on the couch and watch me on the news. So she knows what I do. She knows about gun violence, all of this. And so I say to this day, I said, I know that when the first gunshots went off and my granddaughter was in that back seat, she said to herself, oh my God, they shooting by my house. I'm going to have to tell my granddaddy, my granddaddy, that they were shooting by my house. And then the other bullet hit my grandbaby. She never got to tell me. But the vision that I see is just her covered in blood and her whole Happy Meal just covered in blood. And people don't understand, for me to see that in my head, it brings forth an anger side of me. That somebody could be in a community and know who did this, man. And not say anything. You know how many interviews I've done? How many live videos? How I've begged the community, willing to give everything I have for justice. Since that day, it's $180,000 cash reward. That's the highest ever. For just to make a phone call. You could do it from a private number. We ain't got to see your face. We just need information leading to the arrest. And nobody has called. In the poorest poverty section of North Minneapolis. No jobs or nothing. $180,000. Who the hell is this person? You follow me?
Yeah.
And so it just irritates me to know that there's people in a community that can watch a child or children, because the other little child, Davion Jr., there's no justice for him also.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're watching.
I'll tell you, that block that happened on with your granddaughter got a black cloud over it. It's something going on in that block every single week.
I did a live video, and I told the mothers, I said, mothers, keep your children away from 36 and Penn. Yeah. I said, unless they're going there to give their respects, a memorial, whatever, keep them away from there. Because the Most High's vengeance and judgment is upon people who go there and continue to do wrong there. And since then, people have been shot and killed.
Every week it seems like. Every week you read something about that area.
And so, man, and I don't wish that on none of them. I warned them, though. I said, keep them away from them, man. Keep them away from there. Yeah, man, it just, the anger. I'm still stuck where I was the day it happened. Yeah. This 3 years later.
Yeah.
I'm angry. I'm not who I was then. People call me, come do this. No. I've never told Minneapolis no. Anybody will tell you that. I never asked for a penny. I never got funding, nothing. Never asked for it. I did everything from my heart. 18 years. Nobody has ever done that. They couldn't get the people that you see out here on the street to go out there and volunteer to do that for free. They couldn't get them to do that.
They all getting paid.
Yes.
Some way or another.
Over something that me and some other people started. And so anyway, like I said, man, I'm not who I was. That hurts, that angers me, because in those 3 years I've seen some families that nobody's there for them. Exactly. That I would have been there for them. So what I want to put for the record is the shooter who killed my granddaughter and the people that know who killed my granddaughter, a 6-year-old child, don't understand that you took her from our family, but you took somebody from the community that would have been there for your family. Because I retired after that. And I'm gone. I don't want no parts of it. Yeah. I'm done with Minneapolis. I don't do that. God forbid, I just hope that I never have to go. If it's a small child, like Anaya or something like LaDavia, a little kid, there's something in my chest, in my heart, that I'll probably go there. Yeah. But before that, I was for everybody. Even the ones who people said these are bad people, just let it. I was there. I've had people say, KG, this person was gangbang or whatever. Okay, that was between them and God. I'm going to be there for the family. Yeah. Then I heard some community leaders or whatever say KG Wilson's a damn fool to go and do all this work in the community for free. And these are people who are from here and been here for years.
Yeah.
But I'm from Chicago and I'm one of the problems. No, man. And so, you know, over the years, man, like I said, it's sad. I hate what they done to my granddaughter, but I hate what they did to me. Because I wanted to, my life was dedicated to dying helping somebody. That was just it, to continue to go on. And when my take my last breath, this is what KG was doing before he died. You follow me? And I was never going to ask them for nothing. Hey, God will provide me with a job because the Most High said I will supply all of your needs, you know. And so that's what I believed, man. And I just wanted to be there for a community. Real quickly, Prince, because I think the whole world that will hear this, they might not know who we are, but they know about Prince. They've done research on this great musician here in Minnesota. People know they come from all over the world. Yeah. So Prince had 2 songs that I said that I felt like I should have wrote that speaks my message. One of the ones was "I Would Die for You." When I 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, stood on that street corner with that bullhorn talking to those gangbangers and saying, let them go, let the kids go, don't do this. I was putting my life on the line telling this community, I will die for you, to save somebody's life. That was one of the songs Prince made. The other song was Purple Rain, which was his biggest, hugest song. He did a movie about it. And it says, I never meant to cause you any problems or any pain. I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain. That's me. That's what I was all about. My whole thing was about that. I know about pain. I know about hurt. The first thing you said was that I said, I've been through the drugs. I've been through the gangs. I've been through this stuff. So I come here saying, hey man, I know about everything that you're going through, foster home, abuse, abandonment. I'm standing on the corner. I'm finna come right where you are, just like this with my arms open. With tears coming down my face saying, come over here. Don't stay over there and die. Come over here. I'm not afraid of them that's bullying you. Come over here with me. They will have to kill me to keep you from being able to come over here, because I'm here to rescue you.
And you know what's so fucked up about it? You gotta excuse my French.
No, man, it's coming out now.
Is because now I'm really thinking about it after listening to your story and hearing again about you being in a foster home, and what you were seeking in the streets was a family. Then all these years later, somebody to take the most precious part of your family away from you. The same streets.
Yeah, man.
The same streets you try to love, the same streets you try to give back to, and now it's no resolution. It's like, what could you do?
It ripped my heart out. My heart is up there with her. She got it.
Exactly.
So I'm down here 3 years later, man, just trying. I still have some crumbs left in my chest. And I'm still trying though, but me as being Malcolm and all of them is what keeps me continuing to push the message. Because another thing is, a lot of people went off. There's people who kids got killed. They went and shot up a whole bunch of people, killed people. Or they went on, started doing drugs or whatever. So my thing is to be an example of continuing to be steadfast, unremovable, brother.
Yeah.
To be able to go through, be angry, be hurt, all of this, but not to inflict it on the people, to continue to go on. I got a grandson on the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be a huge blessing to me, because if I would have went and did what I did and had been in a prison cell, I wouldn't be here to put in this grandchild what was put in me. You follow me? And so, man, I just look at it like that, like, man, people will say, oh, I would have did this, man. Well, I can't believe you didn't do this. But a lot of people say, wow, man, I got a different type of respect for you because you had a reason to go do that and you didn't. Exactly. You follow me? And I said, well, then I couldn't continue to be here for you, because now I do most of my stuff from social media. I'm not in the community like that anymore. But I can't still just sit back and not say something because I'm somebody who will say what people can't say. Because people who have a voice nowadays, they give you a chunk of money to shut you up. Don't say nothing about this. We're going to give you some crumbs off this cake. You ain't going to get the cake.
You're right about that.
But we're going to give you some crumbs off this cake.
Take you right off position.
Yeah. So that you don't say nothing about nobody. And so with that being said, like I said, man, I still want to try to help somebody. And so I'm just doing it now from the information. Like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for brothers like Malcolm now.
Yeah.
That's my mentor, man. I wouldn't be, man. I don't know if you noticed the shirt I got on.
Yeah. I see you.
So what you seeing on here is it's me and Martin.
Yeah.
So it's Martin marching over here with his people.
Yeah,
and if you look and see, this is me marching.
With your people.
Yeah. So yeah.
With all of it.
And so man, it's just man, listen, man. I beg of people, man, to become conscious.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're gonna get a turn. I hope you never do get a turn. I've never experienced something in my life that wouldn't go away. That I would get over.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I've never been through nothing in my entire life where I could be like, okay, I'm done with this, it's over.
You can't
this that happened to my granddaughter, I'm still the same messed up, angry, hurt that I was 3 years ago. I have no closure. Nobody has told me. I don't have nothing. I don't know if the person is at the store. I don't know where they are. Are they sitting next to me in the car? I don't know where they are, who they are, who knows what. And that's a horrible feeling that I wouldn't want nobody to ever go to. When we first started out, man, I almost got emotional when you started talking about the love for your son. The love for your son, man. And just to something to happen, just you wouldn't be the same. And I'm going to say this to y'all. There's something inside you that you don't even know is inside of you, brother, that comes from the little innocent kids.
Ain't no question. I know.
It's something inside of you that, man, I didn't know I had in me, man.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, nope. And like you was talking about, watch the language. I went 18 years without saying. People who know me know, Brother KG don't cuss at all.
Right.
I have not stopped cussing since Anaya got killed.
Yeah.
But I haven't here yet. I haven't did here. But yeah, man. So there's some things. Anger. It's just so much anger, man. And I'm not gonna. I see, like I said, I gotta talk about certain things. Yes, I think about stuff. Yeah. I think, but thinking and actually doing it is two different things.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know that it's okay to think. You will have thoughts about things. You know what I mean? Brother KG said that, but don't go do it.
Yeah,
don't go do it. You know, as long as we're here, and we can always go on and be able to do something, because what happened to me and what happened to other people, we're still here to help somebody else.
Right.
Because somebody don't know what they're going to do because their son got shot. And they may see this interview right here and be like, wow, I was thinking about going to get the gun and going over there and doing this, but I heard Brother KG talk about his son got shot. 2 of my sons have been shot, and his granddaughter was killed, and he didn't go get no gun and go kill somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's what's over.
Yeah, you're a better man than me. Better man than a lot of people.
I hear a lot of people say that, and I'm really not, because I'm fighting every day.
I understand why though. Like, I'm not looking at you like I don't understand. It's just that sometimes, like, man, a situation like that, it's no winners.
I still don't know though. I still don't know. Like you said, I might not be a better, because I don't know what you might hear, because I don't know. What I'm afraid of is somebody saying something to me in the wrong way and hit that area.
Ooh.
See, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Hitting that area where I have all this anger. Now it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
I ain't did nothing.
Exactly.
So all it would take is one day to just boom. Exactly. And then like, dang, man. You know what I mean? But like just now, y'all having me here, this helps me. Because it allows me to understand that I got to continue. I'm an example of something tragedy happening and we're being able to go on.
Exactly.
You know, seriously.
That's why I wanted to hear from you, man, because just studying your whole movement from afar, like I told you, I read everything that I could, because there's a lot. Like, if anybody types in KG Wilson, you're going to see news article after news article, story after story, and as I was watching it and then built up to seeing you on the podium yourself now telling speaking to the public, like telling the shooter turn yourself in. And I heard that man, I don't know who he was, but he said, hey, that white man said, turn yourself in or there people are going to be looking for you. And I never heard nobody talk like that on the news before. But it's just, I said, man, I need to get this brother on here and tell us that story, because the violence, it impacts everybody in different ways, because when we see it, it creates like a paranoia. You kind of don't even want to, like, just being in the city, it's always going to be that sense of uneasiness because stuff pop off so easy all the time. Yeah. And so it's not good for nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, hey, man, like I said, this was meant to happen. Yeah. This was supposed to happen. This is a different audience, and people need to hear, and people need to know, and I hope that nobody loses a child. I hope that they don't. And that's why I got to say this. That's why we have to turn in. And I said this so many times. It's not that I want these people turned in and turn them in that did it just for my family, but to save somebody else. See, it's not just that I want just for my family. If this person can shoot a 6-year-old child, they're heartless and ruthless, and they don't need to be on the street. So if they could do that to mine, they could do it to yours. So you letting them stay out there, which makes them even more dangerous because they're paranoid of getting caught. These people need to be taken off the street. I don't want you to see you on the news crying because you knew. Could you imagine? You knew, I'm talking to the camera. You knew who did this, and now they did it to one of yours. And you heard me say this on the camera. Turn them in before yours is next. You've seen that on the news a lot. I'm telling you, turn on for yours is next. That's what I'm saying. It's not just for the justice, not just for the reward, but to bring safety to a community of heartless, deadly child killers, man.
You got any final words for us?
Well, first I want to say this. I want to thank y'all for doing this, and hopefully y'all can get some more people. If you do in the future, I think you should talk to some families. I definitely can get you some families that who've lost their children or whatever, that they can tell you their stories of what they went through, what they're going through, and how they're able to do it, because some people can't survive. They can't make it through this, man. And so they need to see that it can be done. My final words is I want to say something to the killer, because I'm quite sure me personally, I would have turned myself in. But if a coward like that, I'm quite sure he watches everything I do, everything I say. So if he's watching right now, again, I want to say to you, from the beginning, am I able to sit up a little bit? Can I sit up a little bit?
Yeah.
From the beginning of when you put that gun in your hand and you pull that trigger, me and my family know that you did not aim to shoot and kill our 6-year-old loved one. But you put the gun in your hand. And when you shot it and that bullet came out and you accidentally shot her and killed her, you were supposed to turn yourself in. See, it would have been a different story then, because I understand gang banging and all that garbage. That could have happened to me also. I could have did the same thing. But I'm saying to you, to make it right with God, the Most High, the community who you hurt, because when you hurt a child, you hurt a whole community. And because this got out into the world news, you hurt different states in the world about what you did and not turn yourself in. So I'm saying to you again, like I've said many, many times before, you got to be tired of drinking, drugging, or whatever it is, because that's not fixing things. It's not going to fix things with us. It's not going to fix things with the Most High, who said that vengeance is his. And your time is winding down. I believe that the Most High is giving you just a little bit more time to turn yourself in before he deals with you personally himself. To you who know, whether this is your family or whatever, who know who did this, you are just as guilty as he is, because you are holding this in. Yes, I'm saying this to you again. If it's a reward that you have, take it. I'll give you some also. Who gives a damn about a reward? The real reward will come from the Most High, because guess what? Vengeance is on him and vengeance is on you too. Because you know, and I'm telling you, hopefully you don't become victims yourself. Hopefully your innocent children don't become victims themselves because of the horrible secret that you continue to hold inside 3 years now. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm hurt. You took away a future community leader that would have been there for you and your family, because she had a grandfather who would have been showing her how to do that. That's how it would have brought her up. That's what you took. That's who you took, and that's the secret you keep it. And then also her grandfather, who's talking to you now, he took me away from you, somebody who could have been there for your family. So I say to you today again, the time is winding down. It's time to end this. It's been going on far too long. Bring some peace to your life. Bring some peace to your life. Let it go. Let it go. And let the Most High deal with it and handle this. It's been too long.
I appreciate you, man. I want to thank you personally for all the work you've been doing for the community, the love that you show, putting yourself, in the line, putting yourself in the line of danger all these years, and so sorry about what happened to you and your family. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your life with us, and pray for you, brother.
Thank you for having me, man, and I really hope that this reaches somebody, and I don't know, man. I'm hoping that this might even bring justice. This interview could be the interview that touches somebody, brother, that says, man, I can't take it no more. This interview was intense. It was powerful. It touched me in my chest. And that they call you. Oh, I don't know if y'all have a number or whatever, but they call and say, hey, man, I heard the interview, and that touched me, and I can't hold this no more. So you never know how the Most High might be using y'all to make this happen. So I never know. That's why I try not to turn down an interview, because I don't know which one it might be that touches somebody.
You just got to get the word out.
Exactly. And even if it's not just for my granddaughter, for LaDavion or other children, Terrell or other people who lost, where people are carrying secrets. They're carrying a lot of secrets. And maybe this interview might touch somebody to say, I can't hold this secret no more. If they might not know about mine, maybe they can bring justice to some other family.
For sure. Good to go. Man, I appreciate you, my brother, man.